It has gotten utterly ridiculous. It's not in my ward, but I support homeless teen moms and babies to change the trajectory. Because one thing about them, when we pulling over these cars and we talk about crime, a lot of these are young people, and a lot of them born out of the water crisis, giving them an opportunity. And it's just amazing to me, and it's unfortunate. We are a split council. And we're probably going to stay that way because people have drawn these lines in the sand and do all of this stuff that's just you've never seen before. And it's not just based on one person. It's based on several people here. So House of Esther is important. It's a benefit to the community. They're still housed there, still there. We're putting up a property that they're saying is occupied on the city website. You can check it on the property portal, which means they should be given the same consideration as the other tenants or people who are in properties that are on that 18 list of homes. They haven't been doing this. We cannot change the process for one and do it for the other. And for the record, they have obtained an attorney. They have. So before you so rudely decide to drop and ask for, I wish you could have texted me. I would have told you. Have no problem sharing that. I would have absolutely shared with you where they're at and what I know. But we come here day after day or week after week to make a point. Stop making a point on something that's going to benefit the community. Nothing has came and talked about money to the city of Flint. Nothing goes to the north side. Now people think they're not going to get ARPA funds. We're asking for something on the north side, which north side people, lower income people can benefit from. So.
Man, that's a strong woman right there. I wonder, is that same woman I'm looking at right now? That's that Councilman Burns over there speaking up.
You know, Rich, I'm gonna always speak up because for me, we don't get too many redos. And you know, you were out there picketing, I'm not gonna say protesting for the water crisis, and I was too. And it was, I mean, most of those protests were in the winter. It was cold.
Very cold.
Was cold. You know, and we look at who fights for Flint. I ain't seen some of these people protesting, putting their reputation and putting their money where their mouth is. I haven't seen that. And that to me is a problem. You know,
serious problem.
I mean, go ahead.
I don't mean to jump off a subject, but it's something that I gotta say.
Go ahead.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the way that you're working with the people. I appreciate the way you're listening to the people, because right now we are being dictated to. I've been holding conversation with different people and different council people and stuff, and it's a dictatorship going on right now. And I really appreciate you as being one of the few, and I mean the very few, that is listening and then speaking. So thank you very much for that, Miss Burns. Thank you very much.
Rich, I'm always keep it I think they used to say copacetic. That's taking it way back. But even when, you know, I ran, I know you tried to stay neutral, but you know, you supported another candidate, but we were cool. And at the end of the end of, hey, what can I do to help you, is what you came to me to say. And that's what it's supposed to be, you know, and they make a point of, I get Councilman Mays is, bless his heart. He done told me off. I done told him off, and it's not going to be the end, because, you know, it's in our culture, which for the culture, listen, y'all shop comic book store, shop local Black business, happy Black History Month. But when we have that one in our community, a lot of us speak passionately. Everyone, even though he is educated, that's just who he is. So how do you work with him? Because each person is different. He's not the only one doing point of informations and point of orders. He's just not. Councilman Mays is fighting for House of Esther. It's in his ward. And he should. I mean, he doesn't have any little children. His children are grown. He has grandchildren. And so when we talk about, you know, how do we support House of Esther and people in our community, everyone has a responsibility to do that. Now, when Quincy Murphy decided to jump out there and say, I want it taken off, it just total disrespect. I mean, you're not showing me you're trying to work together. I mean, what he does, because they always send him up there to be the one to let somebody know he just voluntarily wants to be that person. Well, I'm gonna let him
That
know.
dictator.
Well,
That
I'm not gonna,
dictator.
you know, and
I I
I don't even know
I
if he's a
I
dictator,
call
but
it like I see it. They dictating us. They dictating.
well, I don't. You cannot say I'm gonna work with a council and have that attitude, because I'm gonna tell you, he got that. You know, he's saying he got this $1 million coming for St. John. Roll it back, and I'll send you the pictures. When it came for St. John's, and he was arguing with the DNR people. He has so much to say. I got up out my seat. My daddy, my people from St. John. You know, St. John, a whole different group of people. And so Quincy had just acted each time they came. They're so difficult. I met with him. They had given $85 million to Detroit for their project similar to St. John. And so I set the date up. I even and I called Councilman Murphy. I may have sent him a text. I have to look to see if I text him and invited. I said, well, you know, let's go down there together. Let's see what they have to say. It takes everybody. Now, he want to say, oh, okay, I did this all by my. No, you didn't. You weren't even listening. He was acting a fool that day in council. And what they not gonna do, and how come you didn't include this? And the man was telling him with the DNR, his name was Mike. He was saying, hey, you know, we can use this to connect with, I believe it's the Ironwood Trail, and we can connect that to where the trail goes all the way through, I think up to Wisconsin. And so when you get council people who saying, you know, I'm not going to support your project, and here it is, I'm going to support whomever project that is going to benefit the city, because that's what it's about. I'm going to go the extra mile. I'll give you the pictures to show you when I was there. They were, the St. John group was there, and Quincy showed up there, because this is your ward. You need to be championed for this. Now he said working for him. He had talked about, I'm not going to do this. He had talked, and matter of fact, I probably need to go pull the tape at council where he was so disrespectful to them. Sometimes you can cut off your blessings or cut off the hand that's going to give you your blessing. I'm like, no, I'm listening to the DNR. He's saying we may be able to do something. And they were able to do something where they're giving this $1 million grant. And see, that's the thing when we talk about not working together. It is the role and responsibility of whoever is the council president is to bring this council together. To be impartial and non-biased. We don't have that. We don't have that now. And when it talk, and I know I'm talking House of Esther, how they doing it, it's just dirty. It's dirty. It's dirty how they doing it, because you'll hear them say, I'm going to give to this, I'm going to give to that. The Children's Museum, $36,000 for that property. The property next to it, the retail value sold for $740,000. So how you tell me were they okayed for that? You know, we have got Bishop Airport property. They didn't give any presentation, came up there, paid $90,000 for property right at Bishop Airport. That's prime property, where you get a commercial lot for that price. And there's been others. So when they talk about, well, we have a responsibility to do it for a certain price, that's hogwash. That's absolutely BS. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand you, Tonya, and I see exactly where you're coming from, because you know I feel for the Esther House of Esther also, and I really feel that 71 million or 61,000, whatever, whichever one it was, I think it should have been accepted, given to the city. And right now, we should have been talking about renovating that building and improving the quality of life that they plan on serving those young ladies with. I feel right now we're behind the eight ball. I think like I said, we should be preparing that building to do great service instead of arguing over who's going to be occupying the building. And the same for Jefferson School. I feel Jefferson School need to be open, and it need to be. And I talked to Councilman Murphy, and
Mhm.
that I'm going to raise all kinds of hell. Whoever gets Jefferson School, and they don't include those 2 apartment complexes behind there. There's too many kids behind Jefferson School
Yeah.
for anybody to have the dike bursting. So whenever there's people in the building, there's cars everywhere. It got to go back to the day. I want back in the day action to where we had walkers. People walked to Burston. People walked to Jefferson. People walked up to Garfield. People walked to Dewey. And they was full. So that's what I wanna see. That's what I want to bring back as far as that is concerned.
Well, and I think it's important for us to have places, especially community centers where kids can go. There were some children, Lizzie Liz, and I forget the other lady's name, who live in the city of Flint, saw four children, four children were walking around all day. And this was last summer. And the children, they were, I think the youngest was 10, and they were planning to sleep in the park, and at Longfellow. And so they have followed them. And then everyone, made some calls. We couldn't get, it took forever to get police to come because they didn't handle that. And then Child Protective Services. It was the most disturbing thing when you have children who were going to sleep in the park. We went and got them something to eat. The police finally did come. I was able to get a sergeant to come. And then it just played out. They got in contact with the mom, and the mom, the house, the condition of the home had no electricity. It had no water, and Child Protective Services said it was okay for them to stay there without going into the home. You could smell what the home, from standing in the street, not even the sidewalk, the street. So what they allow children who live in poor communities to live with is, to me, it's disgusting. And it's not the same. You aren't supposed to, a child's not supposed to be, you have to have running water and electricity. So that meant they had no cold food. The mom was saying, I would get meat, and she had a cooler on the porch, and she would have meat in there, but the kids were hungry. They didn't have food. So when we look at, like you say, having places for kids to go, it's important because they felt like safe at the school. They were going to stay there at night and sleep in the park behind the school. So it's important for us to have places for our teens, and even the House of Esther. We look at, young teen moms who are in the foster care system who have said, I want to keep my baby. If you are in foster care, most of the time, and you're a teenager, you're not there because you have role model parents generally. There are some serious issues. So the House of Esther's, they provide life skills for young teen moms and their babies. There are 21 rooms already pre-decorated. They're decorated. They're complete. The renovations were to go down to they gutted the bottom part of like the kitchen and some other living areas. So they were working on it. When people try to make a point with people who are in need and forget about the community, hate Eric Mays all you want to, but love your community and teen moms more than you hate your adversary or what you consider to be your enemy. It's about the community. And that was lost. That was
Tonya, I'm finna hit you with a bomb right quick. I'm finna hit you with a bomb right quick. Because they're finna build tiny homes on Stewart Street between Saginaw and North. And they're gonna put ex-felons and homeless people in those houses.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically not asking us what we want. They're basically going off of your council person said he want them. Your council person ain't talked to all of us. We want homes. And since, and the person that I was talking to, I was like, and because that was a Catholic charity person, I
Mm-hmm.
said, since y'all just gonna just throw them up on Stewart Street, don't y'all also own property in the 7th Ward? They said, yeah. I said, the same way. Don't ask the community. Don't ask the people in the 7th Ward nothing. Just throw some up and put the homeless and the veterans that are homeless in those tiny homes. And put it on Lapeer Street. Put it on Front Street too. Stewart Street, that's Front Street. Where they have tiny homes at, it's like their own hidden neighborhood.
But people don't want to see and deal with poor people. They want to always hide people. And when you talk about eminent domain, eminent domain is where they always St. John's. They go in where there's minority and poor people. You don't have an opinion. It happened eminent domain in Detroit, the same thing. And now the federal government has said, you know what? We're giving you $85 million because we messed over you back in the 60s, and now they're in 50s to try to fix it. But the thing is, we got Black people who scared to recognize you Black. Ain't nobody white ever asked me to not be my Black self as a woman. Not ever. I have dealt with white Republican, generally men in my industry. Not one time have I had to not be who I am. They didn't ask me to be something different other than my culture. They did, and they respect that. Why? I never asked a Jewish person, a Middle Eastern person, a Chinese person, a white person to not love their culture. I should be able to love my culture as much as they love theirs, and I do. And I'm going to be proud of it every day. And if for me, it's Black History 365.
Hey, Miss Burns, Miss Tonya Burns, we got a question in the comments. Hold on a second. Hold on. Dante Old Squad, he said, okay, Miss Burns, can y'all work with the people?
Now, Dante comes into council quite a few times, and I've taken several of his calls. He stopped calling me though, because he would call. You got to work with people who want to work with you, and they got to, like I say, they got to love the community. They come in there setting up a whole issue with the council, but when it comes with the community, I don't know how many calls today about water. I didn't know that there was no water over there, no water pressure over there by. I have to read it. No water pressure over there by the break. And well, this is what I got. One of the calls. And they said they said by the Michigan School of the Deaf, they've been without water and any water since Friday morning. No water to drink, bathe, or even flush toilets. That's not my area, but when people call, if they've called and they didn't get a response, if my number's up there, I'm gonna do what I can do to help them and share the information. I believe in being transparent. I'm gonna work with all the people, even the people who have that problem.
Hey, Miss Burns, I got a question for you. So yeah. I understand. I see you enjoy doing your job. But
some days
listen, hold on. So is you like 7-Eleven always open, or do you got a closing time and open time where you help the people?
No, I'm 7-Eleven 24/7. I mean, that's me. When I took this job, I knew what it consisted of. It is technically a part-time job, a part-time pay, but you cannot treat this like it's part-time and be effective as you should, because you just can't. And for me, when people call, I answer. I get back with you. And I knew that's what I signed up for. People have when I campaigned, they had my personal cell phone number. You call on my personal cell phone number, guess what? I still answer it. You call on my city phone number, I still answer it. If people call on my business phone number and need some, I answer it. That is my job.
And
If
I'm going,
somebody calling me at
I'm
4 o'clock in the morning because of gunshots,
yeah.
guess what? I answer it. That's what, and I'm not gonna stop doing that. I mean, and I
Or
have to.
I'm gonna cut you off for 1 second, give it right back to you. Let me add in a little bit. Or she calls back. She calls back. If you do something while she's in city council meeting and she can't get to you, she will call you back. Maybe the next day, because those city council meetings run a little bit long. But I am a witness to that. She does call back far as she calls me back, and people that I've talked to that have called her has also said it. And I get a little bit of jealous because she kind of answered their phone calls a little bit quicker than mine.
Listen, Brenda Boyd is on the show. So Tonya answers her phone at 2 in the morning. Brenda just called me at 2 something in the morning a couple days ago, and she's like, "Hey, girl." I'm like, "Hey, Brenda, what's up?" This is 2 in the morning. Because that has always been like my quiet time, to where I'm used to doing reports. So I'm a natural third shifter for some reason. I think I was born that way.
Yeah, I can understand that. But like I said, I appreciate you, and the people who phone calls, they greatly appreciate you. They
Whatever I can
greatly
do,
appreciate you.
whatever I can do to help. I mean, that's what I'm here for. Is to help. I want our community to be better off than when I found it in my ward. That's why I went to work right away on issues. When I was knocking doors, I was taking notes, and I got started ahead of time. That I walked up on the rat house. Literally, I just got on my vehicle. I'm like, it is rats in this house. It was in the first floor window and the second floor window. I always like a plan. I had a 6-point action plan.
Hey, Ms. Barnes, not to cut you off, but Lorraine Lawson Thompson says, I'm not understanding why it's so much scrutiny and hoops for projects on the north side. It has only been a few requests, such as that car lot and the food market.
The car lot one was ridiculous. He came up there with renderings and drawings and about a million times to explain. And part of our policy for property disposition policy does not require you to have a presentation. It does not. And just like the city administrator, when I asked him, he said, "Well, somebody was a house investor didn't give, or somebody didn't give a." And I said, it's not required. The city administrator should know its own property disposition policy. It does not require a presentation at all. So when you look at that, if they don't know how they going, the city, that's a problem. So back to Lorraine, why does it take so long for stuff to get done? First ward is, Councilman Mays and the mayor do not get along. And I mean, they do not. When I work for the mayor, Lorraine, because I'm fully transparent, he told me to not answer my phone for him. I told Eric Mays all the time, I told the mayor, I have to answer the phone for everyone, because those residents in that ward have the right to have a voice at City Hall and to be heard. Mays would call me. And what people don't know, Mays, Pastor Mays is married to my aunt. When he passed away, my Aunt Martha Mays. So it's like it's a respect. I'm not gonna not answer my phone because that he's calling me. He has an issue. The residents, I'm gonna do what I can do to help. That's what you're supposed to do. You cannot be a leader over the city and say, I'm gonna isolate a certain group because I'm gonna punish this one person. You can't do that. You can do it, but you should not be doing it. And that's where the residents in that ward, you get 8,000-9,000 people packed up in there. They need to come and speak. Because I was told when I worked for him, do not answer the phone. And I always answered. And then he would call them, Mays had my personal cell phone number. I'm like, I'm not gonna not answer my phone. If any of them call, I'm gonna answer. Kate Fields would call, I would answer. Monica Galloway would call for something, I would answer. Right? Any of the councilmen or council people would call, then I would answer. You don't shut down. the mayor and Mays need to figure out how to get along together. They need to figure that out.
Hey, Miss Tanya, let me I want to play that clip about the breaking news last night about the Channel 12 was talking about the lawsuits. I want to switch it up right quick. Hold on. Let me play this clip. Hold on.
Yeah, Dawn and Terry, this is the document they did not want the public to see. And I have to tell you, there is a lot in here. And as you mentioned, the initial lawsuit involved more than a dozen of City of Flint employees from various departments. But the heart of a recent settlement focused on the Flint PD and a $175,000 payout to a female detective.
It concerns me, and it should concern every citizen in the city of Flint.
Flint City Councilman Eric Mays going on the record. He believes settling this lawsuit is wrong for the city, wrong for the people of Flint.
For me, it could be a cover-up.
The 2019 lawsuit alleging sexual harassment and discrimination within Flint City Hall. The most damning part, though, allegations involving Flint Police Detective Mary Buzik, who claims she was sexually harassed by fellow officer Tyrone Booth through phone calls and text messages asking her to perform oral sex. Earlier in her career, she was directed to perform oral sex on her supervisor, then Sergeant Devin Bernritter. When she refused Booth's sexual advances, the lawsuit claims she received unfair and manufactured disciplines.
The facts of the case would be most embarrassing and humiliating from where I sat.
When we look at this entire case, it's a hot mess. It's a mess.
Flint City Council recently voting on a $175,000 settlement for Buzik. The details shared with council members in executive session and can't be shared with the public.
Once we went into executive session and listened to legal matters, we listened to all sides, and we came up with a conclusion that we felt like this is the best thing for the city of Flint to settle this lawsuit.
Sometimes the best interest of the city is to clean up mess.
I had to turn it up a notch, Miss Tanya. What you think, man? What's your opinion about what's going on?
I mean, I'm going to say, number one, I'm a female, and sexual harassment is serious.
Yes.
It's very serious. And I knew about this case before, it's been going on.
It broke, right.
Yeah, before it broke. And it is a hot mess. When you talk about, when you read, because everyone's put it up, it's everywhere. Mid-Michigan Now did a spot on it in 2019. And so they covered it. When you look at protecting women in the workplace, and well, sexual harassment can be for anyone because men can be sexually harassed also. But when we look at the allegations, they were very strong. We did not have, I'm saying that entire case. I read the entire one. I didn't remember all of it. So our briefing, we did not have all of it. And I was disturbed. It was very explicit. And when you talk about what happened, you don't do that. And let's talk about what they did in Tennessee. Tennessee, where they had the lady who slept with, I don't know how many people. All of them got fired. All of them. They had a case in the 1980s, and I think he was a trainer, and it was the city of Flint. And some of the women had to, he was sleeping with them, and he was telling them, if you want to get promoted, you want to get this, you're going to have to, it was sexual favors. It was the Department of Justice or the FBI. One of them were in here. They cleaned them out. The city lost a lot of money paying out on sexual harassment suits. I know Connie, a friend of mine, she was, proposition. Connie got almost $400,000. And, she didn't sleep with anyone, but there was a group of women. This was going around in the police department in the 80s. So what do we have to do? We know we have a problem. What I would like to have heard for the chief of police, Chief Green, to say, I take sexual harassment seriously in the workplace. What I will be doing is implementing a new sexual harassment policy. We're going to make sure that all of these guidelines are adhered to, and we're going to make sure that all people, and women especially, are protected in the workplace so that this does not happen again.
Hey, Ms. Barnes, let me cut you off right quick. Instead, the chief did this. He tap danced all around the question. You know what I mean? Which made, like Eric said, made him look bad, man.
Let me chime in on this for a minute. I feel that he should have walked in the office, and the mayor should have been working on this policy as soon as they were elected. And I don't even understand why Chief Booth was even left on staff. So,
and I think that he knew about it because I worked for him. I knew about it. Yeah. I mean, the mayor knew about it. I worked for him at the time, and this was discussed. So this has nothing to do with our executive session. This conversation, I mean, this goes way back
years ago, 2018.
Right. But I think what a lot of people, and let me tell you, I have never gotten so many disturbing emails in regards to why aren't the women saying anything on city council? Why aren't the women saying anything? And that's not true. Jerry Winfrey Carter is speaking out. I have spoke out. There were 3 people who voted no to accept this. I voted no. Councilwoman Jerry Winfrey Carter voted no, and Councilman Mays voted no. And it's not ever okay. Now, people can set aside friendships, relationship. This has nothing to do with that. These were things that there was a culture or environment at that time that this needed to be cleaned up. And not talking about it makes the public feel, especially when you don't have a new policy, that you've done nothing about it. I'm still asking for a public safety plan. I mean, some of the basic things. So if you want the public to be with you, show the public you're being proactive. And when we talk about when, they got into the challenge with him and Councilman Mays, I'm going to tell you, that went south. It went down like the Titanic.
Hey, Ms. Barnes, you want me to play it? I got it. Will we play it? Hey, let me chime in right quick. My opinion about it, like you say, sexual assault is serious. It's not just in the women, it's in men too. They do it in prisons all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know they got a lawsuit back in I think it was in like 2010 or something like that. It was in Huron Valley or something. They was in there getting the inmates pregnant and stuff, and just doing all type of stuff. But like you say, it's real serious. But
that lawsuit, her name is Renee. Renee was paid out of that lawsuit, and Renee, you don't get over some things, how sexual harassment,
mental health,
correct. And she has had some serious issues ever since then. When someone, people may think, oh, well, you can handle this, and this is, you're tough or whatever. You're not always.
Mental health.
A woman, it is common that you're going to be, you're going to experience sexual harassment or people saying inappropriate things and doing inappropriate things in the workplace. I have had it. It's how you handle it. Now, do you file lawsuits? Some people do. And it depends on who it is and how you handle it. I work with mostly men in my business and industry. I dealt with all the time inappropriate things and people being, saying things. So when people get, this is the nice Councilwoman TONYA Burns, other people can get the other part. And I have no problem putting it where it's at.
Hey, Ms. Barnes, let's check the clip out. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, and while y'all
a lot of people ain't see it.
Doing that clip, I'm gonna move this TV. So go on and play the clip.
All right, Rich.
Through you to the chief. Chief, you familiar with this case, Matt Baker et al. Versus the city of Flint?
I just know it's a lawsuit. I'm not familiar with the details at all.
So you don't know about the details of no lawsuits?
What I just said, I'm not familiar with the details of that lawsuit.
Of this lawsuit?
That's correct.
But you do know about certain lawsuits in the police department. You're not saying that you don't know about certain lawsuits.
I know about them, but I don't know the details. Any lawsuit, only lawsuits I'm familiar with is the ones that's been filed since I've been here, which are none.
So you over police department, and you telling me you don't keep up with personnel and lawsuits unless they were filed when you were here. That's what you're telling me?
That's correct.
So you don't know nothing about...
That's what I just said. No, I don't.
Now let me speak, please. Why you want to cut me off? I got more than one question. I mean, what do we have to do to get respect around here? Go and talk to the cows come home. It don't hurt my time. And then when you finish, you let me speak. Go ahead.
I just answered your question.
And I was going with another one, and you went to... I'm looking at your demeanor and your tone.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, it ain't necessary. Not in this meeting with me. My question was going to be, so you telling me that you ain't familiar with the case where Booth was just all over the news? You don't know nothing about that.
Asked and answered.
But is it truthful?
Asked and answered.
Is it truthful?
Asked and answered.
See, I like an honest chief. If you were under oath and you said you didn't know about the Booth case or nothing about it, I would think you would be committing perjury. Now, that's what I would think. I could be dead wrong.
You dead wrong.
Oh, okay, so you didn't hear what we heard on the news.
Asked and answered.
You know that man was asking somebody for oral sex. It's been all on the news. And I don't like police chiefs.
Well, I disagree with what you just stated. I disagree with what you just stated.
You didn't ever hear that?
I disagree with what you just stated. You made it sound like a fact, and you don't know that.
You say I made it sound like a fact. I said it was all on the news that they were talking about Booth and all sex. That a lady right there on Channel 12, Miss Dawes, who I think ran it and then put the complaint on the Channel 12 website. And I'm saying you the chief.
I don't care. I don't care who's in here. You asked the question, I answered.
So if you angry because I'm bringing it up?
No, I'm angry because...
Okay, then go and talk to the cows come home.
I will.
When you finish, I'll talk again.
You always accuse of someone of cover up. The only person that covers up anything is you.
Hey, man, you could have cooked the egg on dude's head, man. Eric, I mean, hey, they talk that stuff about Eric, man, but Eric no protocol. He know what he know, man. You know what I mean? And that's crazy, man. I was crazy, man. That was
that display in exchange was horrible. And number one,
you could have rolled that clip about 10 more seconds.
That
you could have rolled that clip on 10 more seconds. You can have the floor, Miss Burns. I just had to say that, but he could have rolled that 10 more seconds.
Somebody, Ms. Lorraine Lawson, say that man is so out of pocket. I don't know if she talking about Eric, or I don't know if she talking about the chief. But that's what she said.
Well, not Councilman Mays. I'm quite
It can't be Mays.
No, it's not Miss Lorraine who comes
Scroll line say, shout out to brother Eric Mays for speaking out. That's right.
And here's the thing: when you challenge Councilman Mays, you know where that's gonna go. And the composure for the chief, he lost it. And when he told him, you've been convicted of things, he gave him the mic and put it on the floor. I'm like, this just isn't good, because Councilman Mays just started. Well, let me talk about this, and and at that point, you knew where this was going to go, and it's not good. I mean, what I would have liked to have heard from the chief, and I would still like to hear from him, is that he is making sure he is updating the sexual harassment policy. That he's ensuring that he's protecting female officers in the workplace, because it's not just a problem here in Flint; it's a problem all over the country with the ones that happen in Tennessee. And so when you are a department head, it's your job to lead. And that's a problem.
Hey.
And even though, and when they state, and we talked about it, it happened underneath the prior administration, and we talked about this on the floor, but she has a workman's comp that was issued. She went out of work underneath this administration, the Neely administration. So, council, we brought that up, not at this meeting, I think the meeting before last that he brought that up, that there's two sides of this. So when we look at how long this went on without being handled, it went on too long. When you have people who don't want to say, you know what, there's no sexual harassment going to happen in this place, I'm going to handle it.
Hey, Ms. Barnes, I just think the chief didn't answer the question politically correct, man. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And he didn't answer the question correctly. He was all around, you know what I mean? You could tell, he fidgety and lost for words, man. That ain't no good look for the chief of police of Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, I feel Ms. Burns put it perfectly when I call it a missed opportunity. That could have been a bad moment made to make him look good, and he just looked worse to me. That's my opinion of it. He did himself no justice.
Now, even though both of you are men, I mean, you got all these are men making these decisions and these missteps. These are men, and that is a serious problem for me, because when you talk about sexual harassment, the first thing that people like to do is, well, let's attack that woman's character. Let's attack her reputation. Let us slut shame her and make her look like a whore. And that's what happened. That's not what happened. Because at some point, if she slept with you, you slept with her. So this is the part that I don't, her reputation is being attacked. It's not I don't know her like that. I do not. But what I would like to have seen, it kept professional, and to say, hey, we're going to make sure we're going to strengthen we're going to fix we're working with the legal department now to make sure that we have an updated sexual harassment policy, and we're going to send the police department through training so that they understand what the boundaries are, so that we can make sure it's clear what you can, what you can't do, and then have them sign off. So if you ever have another incident like this, you whip out that paper that's in their file. Oh, no, you went through training. You're very clear what it is. And you made this mistake, see ya. And then let them try to sue, because everybody sues Flint. You have a department that people are not following, and it's a problem. That I think asking, when Councilman Mays asked about that one case, he was asking about the one case. There were, I think, 17 of them. And so when you have so many of them, I did not even remember which one. Her case wasn't even on there. So I don't even know how that came up. Those two got into it, and it was nothing you could do. It's just you just have to just watch it play out. And Councilman Mays isn't done yet.
And hopefully,
He's not.
Let me play. Hey y'all, hey guys, let me play the other end of the clip. It's only like a minute. Hold on.
What am I covering up? The mic is yours. Am I covering up a girlfriend? Am I covering up a dope? What am I covering up that you just accused me of publicly? What am I covering up? Go ahead. The mic is yours. See, Chief, you discrediting yourself in front of me. I think you're a liar to say I'm going to cover up. You the police. Tell this public what you accusing me of covering up. Is it dope? Is it girls? Is it, because I can talk about some of what I think you don't want to come out. So go ahead. You said it with a frown on your face. You the big man. Tell this public and council, I'm asking you respectfully, what am I covering up? Or you just said that to try to defame or discredit me? Because I said you knew about the Booth case. Go ahead, don't get quiet now. You was out talking me. What are you alleging that I'm covering up, Chief?
Mr. Mays, that's your time.
Madam Chair, you say what?
That's your time.
I'll call him back up in the second round. I don't care if they...
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Dummy. You big dummy. You big dummy. You big dummy. You big cold-blooded dummy. You big dummy. See what you did? Oh, no, you big dummy. Oh, no, you big dummy. You dummy.
Eric made the chief look bad, man. He the big dummy. He the big dummy of the week, man. I couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist it.
But we cannot say
Yeah.
Councilman Mays made the chief look bad. Chief made himself look bad.
Okay,
Because
okay, I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
He should have came up there. He's a department head. He should have been able to answer the question, and he should have came up there talking about, hey, I can't speak to that. There's ongoing, litigation. It's in court now. Or their favorite answer is, I'll get back with you. Or can you put it in the email? That's how they normally get them. They didn't even use the play in their own playbook. Can you send an email? No one here don't do no email. So they didn't use their own play in their own playbook. When people's emotions get involved, they get thrown off course. But what they need to do is fix this, because I want to see a new sexual harassment policy. I had someone contact, some people about the Me Too movement. This is serious. Women should be protected. This is a problem. They need a policy. They need to talk about it, because if they don't talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. And we talk about sexual harassment. This was done to a white woman. Black women, they act like we don't even exist with the sexual harassment. The sisters, they think that we're supposed to just be able to accept it and move on about it. And that is a whole nother issue. And what they don't understand is that when you have this type of standard and not, dealing with it, people are talking. People are talking. I had 4 community meetings this week, and every meeting they talked to me about this. Every single meeting. Some sent me emails, some pulled me to the side, some text me later. I've taken so many calls, and when we talk about it, it's serious. And what they have to understand with our, and it's a cultural thing, white women are going to support white women, and they are supporting her. No matter what they say, about her, they're supporting her. And them trying to shame her, people are trying to shame her, isn't working. It's drawing more people to protect her, which she should have been protected by her job. When I read through that case, unbelievable. And then you look at it, it's all over social media, all over, and it's like, why isn't no one talking about sexual harassment and a new policy and training? Because clearly they don't know what it looks like and what it is. So if you don't know what it looks like and what it is, they need to have a sexual harassment training. They need to have one to make sure it doesn't happen again. And maybe people need to quit picking up their dates at work, like the Tennessee department. That didn't fare well. They handled their business.
It's called professionalism, and it's called doing the right thing. I mean, it's just beautiful people, attractive people, and story being told. Especially they have a locker room setting in the police department, so y'all know about what happens in the locker room.
Yeah.
So, but people just gotta say no. If it ain't right,
here's the thing.
Just say no.
Here's the thing, though, Rich. It begins with the leadership. If the person, it's the chief, the buck stops whoever the chief is. And if the chief isn't handling it,
the chief and the mayor, I hate to say it, and the mayor too.
Absolutely, because the chief serves at the pleasure of the mayor. So when we talk about it should not be accepted, once it is brought to your attention, handle it. And it should be handled expeditiously. That's not something you can put on the back burner. That should be handled, because women are working in the workplace. This isn't the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s or 60s. Women have to work. Women provide. We have more single head of households than ever before. Over 60% of families or with children are divorced. So when we talk about women are working, women work. There's no one. I don't have one friend that's a housewife.
Oh, we say something about the administration happened. Hey, a guy named Kevin Lester say if this happened during the Weaver administration, that's when the sexual harassment training had begun.
He needs to get himself right on up out of here because Kevin Lester always got some negative, nasty stuff to say. He come on here with other mess, always got something to say, and he just grinds me. It don't matter what department. It should have been. What is not being done is handled now. It's not. And that is where it should be handled right now. I ain't thinking about Kevin Lester.
Lorraine Lawson Thompson said, can you touch on the fire lawsuits?
Yeah, and we have not had any executive sessions. And my deepest sympathy to the mom and to the father, and to the family who lost those two little boys, Lamar and Zaire Mitchell. When you talk about the loss of life, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. If it was a mistake, don't cover it up. The changing the documents, and I read the reports. I requested the reports back in June, and by the time I got them, I got some. They were filtering out. It took them like 2.5 months to give me all the documents, and I knew what the documents were. My ex-husband was the fire marshal, so I understand how to read, and what's in those reports. And when we look at the time that they needed to survive, 6 minutes, 2 minutes, a minute is crucial, and they weren't afforded that. It's for search and rescue. We've had parents say, and I had a conversation with a resident yesterday, and she says, well, Tanya, I'm really bothered by, the parents weren't at home and they didn't have working smoke detectors. Well, let me be clear on this, because there were it was an unfortunate incident in Grosse Pointe where two little white boys lost their life, and the community circled around the parents to support them. The mother Miss Cooper had dropped the children off with the father for the weekend. And it is not against the law to have a child for 12 years old to watch a child. It's not. My children, I was a latchkey kid in second grade. I wasn't 12 in the second grade. I had a key I wore around my neck, and I went home until my parents worked. And for the father to be gone, he would leave, I guess, in the morning to go work out while the children were sleeping, and for a short errand. That's common, that children are left home alone for short periods of time. When we compare it to how did this community support Miss Cooper and how the Grosse Pointe community supported the white family, is totally different. People in this community have sought blame. Black people in this community have sought to blame this mother. And that's not what it is. Smoke detectors are there to alert you. They don't pull you out the fire. Your smoke detector, depending on what type or how deep of a realm sleep you're in, you won't hear it. And so if it's going off and you're not hearing it, if in fire sitting out in front of your house waiting, that's not how it happens. There was a report done some years ago, and the report was stating children generally don't hear those like that, and you need to practice fire once a month, meeting place outside for how to meet outside if there is a fire. Well, most Black people in this community, listen, we can't get bottled water. How you gonna focus on planning a fire escape plan? I mean, we have so many issues that are in this city that fire rescue plan is not at the top. Most homes you go to do not have working smoke detectors. They do not. I have given out thousands of smoke detectors over the past 25 years. I gave them out free with every alarm system that was sold. If a home and a salesperson went to the home and they did not have a smoke detector and still didn't want to purchase an alarm, we gave them a free smoke detector, because that's what you call working with the community. And then Chief Barton with the Black Firefighters Association have been giving out free smoke detectors since the 70s. They raise their own money and they give it out. So to blame the mother for this is really egregious.
It's her. Miss Burns, let me
hold on,
cut
Rich.
you off.
I'm
gonna give it right back to you. I'm gonna give it right back to you.
I'm gonna finish this thought. So when we talk about working smoke detectors, they are supposed to alert you and wake you up, but they don't always. A child with some of the smoke detectors, what they said, the best type of smoke detector is a child hearing a parent's voice recorded saying, "Fire, get out, fire, get out," because they don't hear that. So this community saying, well, they didn't have working smoke detectors. Sometimes you sleep so hard, we sleep through gunshots in this neighborhood. That's our norm. So to a smoke detector, and these were and children hide. When a fire breaks out, generally they may go to a closet underneath the bed, so they may not hear. They get scared. So when we aren't educating people, and my children did the smokehouse until they were too old. At 18, they were no longer the prop children with their dad, which take around the smokehouse. But we shouldn't be blaming them. We should all be supporting them and saying, you know what, this family, let's treat them as good as the family in Grosse Pointe, or even better. But our community is so split. Those two little boys, after reading that report, those 6 minutes could have very well saved their lives. And they should have been afforded that opportunity. And if it was something so innocent, why are you falsifying legal documents? You cannot falsify a police report. It is against the law.
Yes, it
Go
is.
ahead, Rich. I'm
No,
sorry.
I want to say no. That long explanation that you just gave, you should not have having to give, because the question at hand was neglect or responsibility that those two firefighters did, and I am tired of these people that switching up and changing conversations and subjects in that manner is not fair. Just like I'm not going to call out any name.
Well, here's
But
the role of every
when-
firefighter. Firefighter's job is search and rescue. Search and rescue.
And they didn't do their job. They didn't do their job, and that should be the subject. Nothing else.
You know, when you know those two little boys, you know, when you're a parent, and if you're not a parent,
7 minutes.
If you don't
7 minutes.
If you don't have empathy for this family, something's wrong with you. You are a cold.
Hey, guys, can I chime in for a second?
I'm sorry, this
this how I feel about it. Chief Barton got fired for keeping it 100. Got fired for keeping it real. Allegedly, man, it's a bunch of. I'm just gonna say it. It's a bunch of cover-ups, man. Allegedly, you know. I gotta say allegedly. Gotta add allegedly. In the city of Flint, man, and we all know who behind most of the cover-ups. I ain't gonna even say his name, but allegedly, like I said, and, all I can say is this: justice for the Mitchell boys, and justice for Montrese Davis, and also justice for Chief Burton. You know what I mean? And all I'm gonna say, all that certain person got to do is call Kwame Kilpatrick. You're not untouchable. That's all I gotta say about that.
You know, and we cannot forget about Chief Burton. And let me tell you something. When it comes to when Mayor Neely first got into office, there were some things I knew he was getting rid of. He was, getting rid of the police chief, and Chief Hart was coming in. And me and him had a talk. I said, the fire department is fine. They're running effectively. They're running smoothly. That department is